Today I'm going to talk about what are the best soil for growing citrus trees. And another thing is what are the best fertilizers in order to induce the fruiting of these citrus trees. And also what are the common pests and diseases that affects citrus trees. Citrus trees like a sandy loam soil, and make sure you have a good draining soil. You could use the compost that you made because those were sterilized because it generates heat when you're doing a compost. Citrus trees or shrubs, they like more on nitrogen, okay? So select one that has more nitrogen. If you look at the label of any fertilizer, you could use any fertilizer as long as it has those chemical elements. There are three numbers, and those represents NPK. NPK means nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. So like I've said, citrus shrubs or trees, basically they like mostly rich in nitrogen. So the higher the number in front, that means more on nitrogen, and that's the one that you have to use because these are nitrogen loving plants. So I recommend to you also once in a while, if you got coffee grounds, you could use them because this citrus likes acid soil. So what you can do is put your grounds on top of your soil. When selecting soil for growing citrus trees is making sure that your soil are good draining soil. So what I recommend is to use the one that you could buy, like the Fox Farm garden soil that you could use because it has the guano and earthworm castings to it. And normally those soil that you could buy from the stores are some of them are sterilized already, okay? And also another thing, if you don't have that kind of soil, you can also make your own soil by using a compost, because the one in compost is it generates heat over there. Probably the one that you made is from last year's compost, so that means those were sterilized from because of the heat being generated from that compost. Or what you can do also is to before you're gonna use the soil, you can put by the sun to be sterilized because of the heat, you know. And also if you use that kind of soil, the compost that you made, you could add sand to it, and also cocoa fibers, and also you can also add some perlites to it. Like I've said, the perfect soil for these citrus trees are supposed to be good draining soil. A bacterial rot or any fungal rots, root rots in the soil. If you have a stagnant water, or sometimes they call it is wet feet, make sure that your pots also has some drainage holes to it. I would like to discuss some of the common pests and diseases that affects citrus trees. One of them is especially if you grow citrus indoors, your main problem are the aphids, the mealybugs that infects your plant. That's why I would like to recommend to you is to once in a while, in a regular basis, to give them shower these citrus trees, and that way you could inspect if there's any mealybugs or aphids that are infecting your citrus trees. If you find some small quantities of mealybugs or aphids, you could just use a regular soap and water. Just rinse it out, and you could also use some brushing. It's like giving them a shower. But if your citrus are infested really hard, what I recommend to you is to use horticultural oils like neem oil that you could use to spray it to the plant. So the only problem that I got over here that I experience in my citrus growing are the slugs. If you could look over here, these leaves, okay, were eaten by the slugs. Okay, so that's the only problem I got over here, but I don't have any mealybugs or aphids to it. These are healthy plants. Okay.